Duran in association with corporate sponsors international. Ringside tickets, the Yakima Nation Legends Casino, Sports Job, Valley's Game Systems, Pennzoil, Cardenas Markets. Scheduled 10 rounds, main event, super middleweight. Your judges at ringside are Bruce Seibel, Larry Glover, and Dennis Ryan. Your referee for this bout is Mike Fisher. Fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 167 pounds in white trunks from North Hollywood, California, with a professional record of 19-2, 13 wins by way of knockout, P.J. Goossen. Fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 167 pounds, wearing red, white, and blue trunks from Panama City, Panama, with a record of 103 battles, 15 losses, 69 wins by way of knockout. The veteran of classic battles with Marvin Hagler, Ken Buchanan, and Sugar Ray Leonard. Roberto, America's finest Roberto!
What a job to do out here. When I say break, step back. Let's get busy. Good luck.
The final instruction by referee Mike Fisher. And this is our main event of the evening. Roberto Duran with 103 wins, 15 losses, 69 wins by way of knockouts against P.J. Goossen. Patrick Joseph Goossen of North Hollywood, California, with 19 wins, 2 losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. Yakima. This is the Legends Casino in Yakima, Washington, and they are going to see a dandy, a legend, a living legend, Roberto Duran. And we are ready for the first round. And as referee Mills Lane would say, let's get it on. Roberto Duran, the squatty build, 5 feet 9 inches tall, 66-inch reach. P.J. Goossen at 5 feet 11 inches tall, 70-inch reach. Goossen with the white trunks. Roberto Duran with a red, white, and blue trunks.
Well, what you don't want to do if you're going to fight a legend like Roberto Duran is let him fight at his own pace. At age 49, obviously, you know, endurance and speed and stamina could become a problem. You don't let him fight at this time a type of a pace. I remember seeing William Jompy in 1998 eat Duran up because he was just too fast. He made him work, and it was just too much for him. But if you let Duran fight at this kind of pace, he could take his time and eventually, you know, start to try to pick you apart.
Now, how much of a problem do you think it's going to be for P.J. Goossen with the fact that he has not fought since June 18th of 1999?
Well, the layoff obviously is a problem. They said he's done a lot of good work in the gym. You know, those rib injuries sometimes are very difficult to recover from if you come back too early. And again, it's obviously it's a difficult situation for him, Benny. He's in here against the legend. You know, some might say it's a no-win situation for Goossen because if he beats him, they're going to say he's 49. But obviously, it would be nice for his resume to have a victory over Duran.
Duran right there backing up P.J. Goossen. Duran's last fight was June 16th against Pat Lawler, avenging a previous loss to Pat Lawler.
Yeah, I was at their first fight in Las Vegas some time ago, and I thought Duran was finished after the Jompy fight, but obviously he still has something left.
Well, it seems like this is a guy, like you said, if ever there was a guy born to fight, Roberto Duran is that guy. One of the other things, too, is the fact that most fighters will expand up to 40 to 60% of their energy in nervous energy. For Duran, this is such a natural state for him, boxing.
Although, you know, when he was a lightweight, boy, he would come out and throw so many punches. He was so busy and so accurate and so tenacious. And, you know, obviously he can't fight at that level like that anymore. And, you know, there's somewhat, there's still that enigma about what took place in 1980 in November the 25th, the No Mas fight. Nobody can figure that out, and we still can't get a totally honest or direct answer from Roberto on that.
And that was a shame because that first fight was an absolute classic, absolute toe-to-toe, in which he got in there with Sugar Ray Leonard and just showed tremendous hand speed and just showed actually the power to Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard, of course, was very stunned by that particular fight, but he came back and beat him 2 more times after that.
Yeah, he also showed, again, a tremendous defense, eluding the speed of Sugar Ray Leonard. Duran's landed some jabs here early in this fight. He still has that very accurate left jab, and it's landed.
So round number 1 of a scheduled 10-rounder now comes to an end. And then we go to the corner, Roberto Duran. In his corner, Anthony Hunter is his trainer. Rafael Garcia is his cut man. Also, Nestor Quinones is going to be in his corner. And, of course, here's my question, though, Smitty. What do you tell Roberto Duran that he doesn't already know or has not already done?
Yeah, all you do is administer to him what he wants. You know, give him his water, give him his Vaseline if he needs it. There's nothing you can tell a guy like that. Just try to encourage him a little bit. You know, he had a decent first round. He landed a couple of jabs and a couple of body shots, but he got clipped with a nice right hand towards the tail end of that round by Goossen, P.J. Goossen, which was the best punch of the round, but I gave the round to Duran.
So we are ready for round number 2 of a scheduled 10-rounder in the super middleweight division. Roberto Duran in the red, white, and blue trunks against P.J. Goossen in the white trunks. P.J. from North Hollywood, California, sports a record of 19 wins, 2 losses, 13 wins coming by way of knockouts. Of course, Roberto Duran, 103 wins, 15 losses, 69 by knockouts. And the only other fighter you can say today that's still fighting with 100-plus wins is, of course, Julio Cesar Chavez.
And if you want to ever compare, if you're asking my comparison, Chavez is a great one. But this man, in my opinion, a better fighter than even Chavez was in his prime.
Smitty, you can answer this question. Buchanan never got a rematch with Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran said to me that they offered it to Buchanan. Buchanan didn't want it. What do you think?
Well, he'll contest that. I just was with Kenny Buchanan in June. He was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame, and he had to have testicular surgery following that fight. Duran hit him, remember, with a low blow in the 13th round to win that title. And he was winning the fight probably, but they never offered Buchanan a rematch, and that's what Buchanan said. You see, Duran, you know, the one thing you got to do against him is make him work. And Goossen's a taller guy and has more reach, but the reflexes of Duran certainly are not what they used to be. But if you sit there and you're a stationary target, he's still going to find a way, you know, to pick you apart. You see him landed some shots there. You got to move around and make him work, because and that'll show that age.
The only person that I saw really get to Roberto Duran, and it was one of those styles that were absolutely just meant for each other, was Tommy Hearns. When he landed that right, it absolutely dropped Roberto Duran face first on the canvas.
Yeah, that was June of I believe, 84 in Las Vegas. Tommy, you know, just so much taller and had the tremendous right hand. And Duran had some personal things going on in his life at that time, and he was no match for the Hitman.
And getting back to the Kenny Buchanan fight back in June 26, 1972, I'll never forget how loud Buchanan yelled when that shot landed below the belt. I mean, it was an absolute scream you could hear from all the way to the top of the Empire State Building.
Well, if a guy with the hands of stones hits you there, and you have to have surgery following, obviously, probably he was not talking so well the next day, but he was a great lightweight, too, and he does have a lot of, you know, respect for the great ability of Roberto Duran.
P.J. Goossen, who's trying to go ahead and use that superior reach, 4-inch reach advantage he has, 2-inch reach height-wise, and right there, Goossen trying to go inside.
Whether this works or not for Goossen, P.J. Goossen, it's the wrong style to sit there and try to out-slick a guy with 103 victories. It might work because of Duran's age, but it's not the right strategy. You outspeed him and outwork him. You don't try to out-slick him.
P.J., who looks to be much, much bigger than Roberto Duran. Duran, of course, always keeps that right hand right near his ear. And we are ready for round number 2 of a scheduled 10-round super middleweight bout. The legendary Roberto Duran in the red, white, and blue trunks against P.J. Goossen in the white trunks. And Smitty, how did you score the second round?
I gave the second round to Duran as well. It was very close. Could have gone either way. You know, Goossen landed a few right hands, but you know, Duran. Now Goossen's doing the right thing. He's moving around. He's going to make Duran work, and that's what you do. A guy 49 years of age, and make him move around the ring. Subtle movements. If you make him come forward or side to side, that'll tire out a guy like a Duran.
Now we got to make one distinction here as far as George Foreman fighting at the heavyweight division at the age of 140 plus. I mean, here's a guy with tremendous, tremendous power. Here, you still got to be pretty quick.
Yeah, it's no comparison because, you know, as a heavyweight, you can fight later on. When you go from lightweight all the way up to a super middleweight level, that's a tremendous, tremendous, gainage in poundage. And, the little guys, usually their careers end in their 30s. So for a guy to be still even competitive at 50, and you see the right hand by Duran, it's just utterly amazing. And that a lot of the testament to that is the tremendous defense that Duran didn't get credit for. He was such a tenacious offensive fighter. A lot of people neglected over the years to talk about his great defense.
And he was so good at just slipping that head to one side, and just able to elude the punch. And what seemed like a punch that landed really wasn't that effective because it just was grazing his chin.
Yeah, he had a pretty much a fist of stone and a chin of stone. But also, again, like I said in the beginning, if ever somebody was born to fight, it was this man. A lot of the subtleties that unless you're a real boxing person like that, he kind of dips the shoulder and then lands, in the way he's maneuvering Goossen around to where he wants so he can land his shots. These are things that only a guy like Duran could do throughout his career.
And, of course, Ray Arcel was a guy that handled him during his lightweight days and thought the world of Roberto Duran, especially the tenacity that Roberto Duran had.
Now, what P.J. Goossen is doing is making this like a sparring session. He's wasting too much time. He's pawing with a few left jabs there. Rather than making Duran move around, he should back up like he's doing now, make him walk to him, because you'll see Duran will get, some of the fatigue will set in later on.
And now, do you see Roberto Duran attacking the body of P.J. Goossen? And Duran's got to have that in mind, the fact that the broken ribs, but you figure that's been enough time now for that to heal up.
In his heyday, Duran was one of the most brutal body punchers of all time.
Well, they say when he used to hit you in the arm, it would hurt. Goossen now choosing to go to the body. Roberto trying to counter. So the final seconds of round number 3 come to an end. Roberto Duran and P.J. Goossen. He knows how to command a show, and that is Roberto Duran. This is round number 4. It is scheduled for 10 in the super middleweight division. Roberto Duran weighing in at 167.5. He is wearing the red, white, and blue trunks from Panama City, Panama. P.J. Goossen, Patrick Joseph Goossen, in the white trunks from North Hollywood, California, with a record of 19 wins, 2 losses, 13 wins by way of knockouts.
You mentioned P.J. Goossen, taller and has the reach advantage. It would help him. He's been able to land the left jab throughout this fight in the 3 earlier rounds, but he just doesn't throw it enough. He sits there and almost waits to counter, and he's got his hands low. And you look for that right hand of Duran's to come over the top of that, because although Duran slowed down a lot, he still knows how to turn that right hand over.
And he's been looking for that opportunity to turn that right hand. To show you how sharp Roberto Duran is, his wit is still as sharp as ever. I said to him, your father, he was from Mexico. And he says, he's still alive. I said, I'm sorry. So that showed me how sharp he happens to be.
Duran used to do this in his prime, too. He would actually be able to out-jab sometimes the jab, or even a guy like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was much quicker. In their first fight in Montreal in 1980, he was able to effectively land his jab because of the angles and the way he threw it and would set it up, even though he had the shorter arms and wasn't as quick. And you see him doing that to PJ in this round.
And you see him right there being very deceptive with the eyes, almost like taking the attention of P.J. Goossen to look one way and throw the punches the other way.
He's making this is Duran's fight right now because he's making it like a sparring session.
P.J., who was trying to land a big right hand to drop Duran, has not been able to go ahead and do that, and has not done a very good job of setting it up either.
It's like trying to follow Eric Clapton playing a guitar. That's not the way you do it, I mean, this guy is an artist at what he does, and what you do to expose the age is to make him work.
And right now, right there inside, that is Duran's type of a fight. And good combination right there by Roberto Duran.
Well, I told you, Benny, he'd find a home for that right hand. He followed it up with a pretty decent left hook, too.
And doubled up with that left hook. And there is a stunned look on the face of P.J. Goossen right now as he has felt the power of Roberto Duran. Roberto trying to lull P.J. Goossen back inside so he can work that right hand.
Duran earlier in his career was one of the great finishers of all time, but right now he has to conserve his energy. So if the fans listening wonder why he slowed down, the reason he's doing that is to conserve that energy. He can throw 3-4 punches at it, but then he has to slow down a little bit.
So round number 4, the best round for Duran, now comes to an end. And referee Mike Fisher tells the two fighters to come on. This is round number 5 of a fight scheduled for 10 rounds in the super middleweight division. Roberto Duran, the legend from Panama City, Panama. He weighed in 167.5. PJ Goossen, wearing the white trunks from North Hollywood, California, weighed in at 167. And so far, it has been Roberto Duran's fight. And Smitty, how do you have it scored?
I have Duran ahead by a couple of points. A couple of those earlier rounds were very close. You could have given them to PJ, but I have Duran. He's the more accurate puncher, landed some nice hard shots. Goossen had a nice right hand earlier in the fight, but I have Duran slightly ahead.
Roberto Duran with that sneaky right in the 4th round right there, landing the sneaky right, and then following it up with 2 left hooks that he doubled up right there.
There's a nice combination by Goossen, punctuated with the right hand.
And Roberto taught him how to throw the right hand, almost threw it at the head of P.J. Goossen, held back. And Smitty, another fight that to me stands out when I think of Roberto Duran was probably 3 of the most accurate punches I've ever seen thrown in combination against Davey Moore.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, there was, again, another point. He was like a cat. He had so many lives. That was another fight that Davey Moore was young, and people thought that he would knock out Duran. And Davey Moore was, by the way, never the same after that fight.
Davey Moore just seemed so much bigger. It was almost like seeing a middleweight against a heavyweight, Duran against Davey Moore. But again, those 3-punch combination, that was absolute. It was a thing of beauty, the accuracy of those punches. PJ going low. And Smitty, it just seems like P.J. Goossen is missing opportunities here.
Well, he's not creating any either. He's not moving around enough. He's not, trying to control this fight. And again, he's not trying to expose Duran's age.
And we're at the halfway point of a fight scheduled for 10 rounds. And Roberto seems like he almost prefers for PJ to come into him, and from there he's able to counter.
You know, PJ's shown me a pretty decent right hand when he's thrown it. If he'd used the jab a little bit more, I think he'd find a home for that right hand.
Well, Duran taught him how to throw that right hand, so he had a good teacher.
Maybe he feels like he shouldn't hit him with it since he taught him it.
But that's one of the things PJ said to it. It's all business.
And there's that right hand by Duran to PJ that he taught him about.
And just to refresh his memory, saying this is the way you throw it, PJ, one more time.
You know, although Duran has a lot of knockouts, 69, and we call him the man with the hands of stone, he really, though, didn't knock too many guys out with one shot. Most of it was the combinations, combinations.
And the other thing that he had a tremendous advantage in was taking all those fights down in Panama.
You know, we have a nice cool breeze here in Yakima tonight, and I think that will help Roberto Duran at age 49, all the wars he's had. I think this nice breeze should help him.
Well, this is a man who's used to fighting in not only the heat, but the humidity down in Panama. Let's take a look here at some of the replay here from the 5th round. Duran, there's that right hand.
And one thing that doesn't change, 49 years or 149 years, is still the textbook way he throws that right hand.
The way he turns that wrist. This is round number 6. It is scheduled for 10 in the super middleweight division. Roberto Duran in the red, white, and blue trunks against P.J. Goossen in the white trunks. And so far, it has been all Roberto Duran. The most effective punch being that right hand that Roberto Duran has thrown, and thrown with great effectiveness.
Big mistake that Goossen is making in this fight is laying on Duran and letting Duran rest and letting Duran have time to set and think and figure out what he's going to do to land 2 or 3 punches and then, get out of there. Sort of letting Duran kind of steal the fight.
And one of the guys, speaking of stealing the fight, a guy in attendance here tonight, Ray Lampkin, is a guy way back in 1975, fought against Roberto Duran, had the fight won, but in the 14th round, one of the most devastating lefts ever seen in boxing was planted on the chin of Ray Lampkin. He went down. The guy was never the same after that fight.
Which showed Duran in his career had power early and power late. He has a lot of first-round knockouts, too. And, again, some tremendous streaks of 32 in a row and 40 in a row and a lot of knockouts. But he usually didn't do it with one punch. It usually was the accumulation of punches that did it.
When Lampkin felt he was quicker, he could get there quicker, with the punches, was able to go ahead and stay out of the way. But eventually, the tenacity of Duran finally got him. And like you said, setting it up.
Now, there was something. Duran just moved his head to the side to set up a nice left hook to the body.
And this is like seeing a taskmaster, a guy executing a fight to perfection. Roberto Duran going about in his own particular pace, not letting P.J. Goossen dictate the pace, but establishing the pace himself.
Yeah, and just when you think he's going to throw the right hand, he'll throw the left jab and then and turn it into a hook. He'll hook off the jab. So he's still very, very cagey.
For P.J. Goossen, it's almost like he's having a sparring session with a legend, and he's learning some things.
And, P.J. much younger. I mean, he's 19 years younger than Roberto Duran, but he looks to be maybe a little bit more fatigue on him than I see on Duran.
But again, we'll get back to the question that I asked you. He hasn't really fought. He hasn't fought since June 18th of 1999. He said, he was trying to spar 8 rounds at every workout, but is that enough?
Well, again, it all depends on, what type of training sessions they were. And, he's coming off that long layoff. I don't know what kind of work he did in the gym. And obviously, when you're in here against a guy like Duran, you see Duran dig a nice shot to the body there.
And the thing with PJ is he has never been knocked out of a fight, and his 2 losses have been by decision.
Look at that move by Duran, leaning on the guy and tiring him out. Another cagey veteran move.
And round number 6 comes to a close. Fisher there calls the fighters. It is round number 7 of a scheduled 10-rounder in the super middleweight division. Roberto Duran, the man with 103 wins, wearing the red, white, and blue trunks. P.J. Goossen in the white trunks from North Hollywood, California. And Smitty, how do you have this fight scored so far?
Well, I have Duran ahead 59-55. He's still pretty much beating, P.J. to the punch, and he's landed the sharper shots. He's had some really nice right hands and some pretty good body work. And, P.J.'s just not doing enough. There's a nice right hand by P.J., but we haven't seen enough of that.
And there he is, so good. Roberto Duran is slipping the punches with his head, and right there planting a right to the kidney of P.J. Goossen. Roberto Duran at the age of 49 into the 7th round of a scheduled 10-rounder.
Nice double jab and a right hand by Duran. I see Duran trying to catch his second win here. But again, PJ's not doing enough to expose that 49 years of age, not moving him around enough. Look at the defense of Duran, holding the right hand up and fending off those shots to try to set up his own. And there it is, a nice right hand to the body.
And those are the punches that take its toll right there. Those right hand punches to the body of P.J. Goossen. Another one. No, that one almost looked like some out of a Rocky movie. Except this is for real.
Hector Camacho found that body and broke the ribs of P.J. And of course, Camacho not noted as a body puncher.
But I tell you, in that fight, though, Camacho did make up his mind. He was going to go to that body, and that's exactly where he went. And it proved effective as he got the win. PJ's just not throwing that right hand often enough. He's flicking that left jab out there, but it's not very effective.
It's much better for me to sit here and watch a guy that I really idolize in Duran against a guy like P.J. Goossen than a William Joppy, somebody who really can't expose that age. And so it's no ill will towards Goossen, but this you can sit there and still watch a great former fighter and know that he's really not going to get hurt.
And it's those great defensive skills that keeps Roberto Duran from getting hurt. And there's a right hand by Roberto Duran right on the chin of P.J. Goossen.
He still has the accuracy at a stationary target, doesn't he?
And he doesn't waste those punches. Rarely do you see him miss very badly. Roberto Duran, of course, that's when a fighter really uses up a lot of energy, when they miss badly.
And you can see just from that, though, that, you know, again, at round number 7, if Goossen would make him work a lot more, because the legs of Duran, you know, the legs and the reflexes are the first things to go, and Duran lost that a long time ago. But if it's not exposed, then it doesn't matter.
And the final seconds of round number 7 of a fight scheduled for 10, Roberto Duran and P.J. Goossen. We go down to the corner of P.J. Goossen and see if we can hear the instructions from his father, Pat Goossen. He's also got Joe Goossen and Todd Goossen in there, in that corner.
You know, throughout his career, Roberto Duran was just one of the best body punchers in the history of the sport. I mean, he would work that the kidneys over in the midsection, and just a great body puncher. And you still see he digs a right hand to the body, sets up some other shots.
Another angle here.
Duran, there's a nice right hand. Again, he set it up with a couple pawing jabs and just found an opening, created an opening is what he really did for the right hand. And a great fighter can do that. Not only being able to hit a guy, but creating an opening is very difficult to do.
Okay, Smitty, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And we are ready now for round number 8. It is scheduled for 10. Roberto Duran in the red, white, and blue trunks against P.J. Goossen in the white trunks. And Smitty, right off the bat, I'm going to put you on a spot here. In their prime, Roberto Duran and Julio Cesar Chavez at 136.
I think that Duran would have been just too much. It would have been a heck of a fight. You know, Chavez was a warrior, and he was a great body puncher too. But anybody that can go up and challenge a Marvin Hagler and beat an Iran Barkley, I would have to give it to Duran. He's just a little bit better in all categories than Chavez was.
What about Duran and Arguello? Alexis Arguello.
Aaron Pryor exposed Alexis Arguello in a great battle. And although Duran was never that quick, he was so tenacious, and I just think he would have been too much, and he would have eaten up, I think, Arguello's body.
And so far, Roberto Duran has pretty much had his way with P.J. Goossen being very effective with the right, and also surprising him and doubling up at times with the left hand. P.J. Goossen just not throwing enough punches.
And I'm not taking away anything, by the way, from Chavez, or Arguello. Again, this guy's an all-timer. Lands a nice left and a right there. Back Goossen up.
And right there, Goossen made the mistake of letting that punch hang out there, and Roberto Duran made him pay.
Notice how Duran's conserving his energy, setting up for a second win. You see him here conserving his energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing a master at work. Roberto Duran, at the age of 49, hanging in there with a P.J. Goossen with a record of 19 wins and 2 losses.
There, P.J. landed a few nice left hands, but sat back and admired his work and got clipped lightly with a right hand by Duran.
The intensity just does not seem to be there on the part of P.J. Goossen. You don't see the fire in his eyes.
And that could be, again, it's a tough situation when you're fighting a legend and you don't have any ill will towards him. Remember, he grew up idolizing this guy.
But then again, he said to me, too, that, hey, this is business. And as far as he's concerned, it's all business. He's going to go ahead and try to take him out here in the 10 rounds. After that, they can be friends again. There's a right hand by Goossen. And there's the famous Roberto Duran smile where we'd kind of look at the crowd and say, nah, no problem.
And Duran was always one of the best, too, at biding time when he needed to. Through a sneer, a snicker, a holding. He would do all kinds of things when he was in a little bit of trouble to clear his head. As I said, very, very cagey fighter. Always has been.
Roberto Duran could probably do a videotape on exactly how to win a fight. Every trick in the book he knows how to do, and round number 8 comes to a close. We go to the corner of Roberto Duran at the age of 49. 118 fights the man has had. This is fight number 119 in his career.
Spanning 5 decades.
That's unbelievable. In fact, I wrote an article about him in Mundo Deportivo, and one of the things that they came back and said to me was, you sure that is an accurate statement? because they couldn't believe. Here's Roberto Duran action in the 8th round.
You see, PJ missed, and Duran made him pay with that counter-punching ability, and then came right back in, lowered the head, lowered the right hand, and held on and conserved his energy.
And here's the famous Roberto Duran smile after the miss, saying, no, that didn't hit me.
But it did, and it was Goossen's best punch of that round.
Round number 9 of a scheduled 10-rounder super middleweight bout. Roberto Duran in the red, white, and blue trunks. P.J. Goossen in the white trunks from North Hollywood, California. And Smitty, how'd you score that round?
Well, you know, I actually gave that last round to Goossen. Duran had his moments in that round, too. But right now I have it 78-74 Duran. Some of the rounds, though, were pretty close, and there could be a few more Goossen rounds in there.
Well, we'll see if P.J. Goossen wakes up right here and he comes up with a big onslaught to close the show. Like every great headliner, you need a bang with which to close, and we'll see if he has it. Roberto Duran, at the age of 49, has fought this particular fight at his pace and has been very effective.
There's Goossen with a flicking jab. Notice the difference between the two jabs. Watch when Duran jabs, or it's like a piston, and you know, PJ sort of flicks it out there, and he's landed it. But Duran, when he jabs, for the most part, there's a lot more power behind it, unless he's using it to try to set something else up.
And both punches right there, exchanging punches. The thing that PJ has to watch out for is not to paw that jab out there and leave it hanging.
Yeah, the hands of PJ coming down. You see the mouth open, a little sign of fatigue. We know Duran's got to be tired. I mean, coming here, 49 years of age in the 9th round here. But PJ showing, and that could be part of that from that, inactivity.
5 decades of fighting now for Roberto Duran, and that spans over 119 fights. And there's been years when he has not fought at all, and you thought he's done, and here he comes.
Big right hand by Duran. That right hand by Duran's been the key to the fight so far.
And look at the master. He just took some time off right there, about 8 seconds right there by which to catch his breath.
Again, like I said, PJ's made this like a sparring session. He's almost been like a heavy bag, and I don't care how old the fighter. When you're a legendary athlete like Duran, you're going to always look good against the heavy bag.
And from the corner right there, Pat Goossen was yelling at his son. His son winked at him, saying, I got it under control, but I don't think so. He's going to have to really take it up here.
Notice Duran holding on, again, catching that win, taking his time, and then coming right back in and kind of stealing the round, you know.
It's like a master, like a painter loading paint onto his brush and getting ready to paint another masterpiece. Roberto Duran at the age of 49.
Duran's always been one of the most adaptable fighters. If he had to slug, he could slug. If he had to box, he could box. If he had to do both, he could do both.
And good left that time by P.J. Goossen. We go to the corner of P.J. Goossen. There is his father, Pat Goossen.
You know, it's amazing to even be able to talk about a fighter now that's gone, to a 15th round. Duran's done it, I think 3 or 4 times during his career. We're coming up on the 10th and the final round. But very few fighters that we talk about today, even the great ones, like a De La Hoya or a Mosley or what, they don't even know what a 15th round is.
Exactly, and of course you hit on one point about the fact that how many of his knockouts he set up for those final rounds. Here's some of the action here from round number 9.
Digging shot, nice uppercut and a left hook by Goossen. Duran comes back. And then Duran, when he felt a little bit of power, backed off and took his time to set up for another onslaught.
And here in his 119th fight, Roberto Duran answers the bell for round number 10. The 10th and final round of our main event of the evening between Roberto Duran and P.J. Goossen. P.J. Goossen in the white trunks from North Hollywood, California. And so far it's been all Roberto Duran. And Smitty, how'd you score the last round?
I gave that round to Duran. I have him leading by 5 points. Again, some of these rounds have been close. And you never know, is this going to be the last round of his career? I doubt it, because he's probably going to, win this fight. But you just never know watching whether this is going to be the last 225 of one of the great careers in the history of the sweet science.
And, of course, yesterday in talking to Roberto Duran, he said to me, he says, the thing that I want to do is I want to show to the people that I am not a washed-up fighter. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I love to fight, and I can still fight, and I'm going to show the people that I can do that, and he has done that. This is the 10th and final round, and you have Roberto Duran ahead on this fight.
It's amazing. The man was just, born to fight. And, again, in fights like this where, I don't feel there's much potential for injury, I don't have a real problem with it. I don't want to see him in there anymore against, like what happened with Chavez and Acosta Zoo, where he can't be competitive. But the guy's born to fight, and this is the way he wants to go out. Nice right hand there by Duran.
And, of course, there's certain sports where you can continue to go ahead and do it, even for fun. I mean, you can still shoot the sky hook. You can still go out there and kick a soccer ball. But, of course, in fighting, it's a little different from the accumulation of shots, the tremendous physical condition that you have to be in. And, of course, one of the toughest things for fighters is to get them in that ring, to get them in that top physical condition.
And you know what, though? If he wasn't in condition, nice left hook by Duran. If he wasn't in condition, though, he wouldn't be able to go at this level, this many rounds. So at least Duran still trains and stays in the gym. Heck, I've had a few cocktails with him. If he wasn't fighting anymore, he'd probably be, a heavyweight.
But again, that to me shows me his passion, the fact that he's still willing to train.
Look at him sneering and tapping on his chin, daring Goossen to hit him. He's having fun in there with this young man, young to Duran. He's 30 years of age, P.J. Goossen, but young compared to Roberto Duran.
At the age of 49, Roberto Duran in the 10th and final round of a fight that we have him with a commanding lead so far.
It's really, though, it's really also great to see a guy that's older than me fighting. That I can call a guy fighting. He's like way older than I am.
And you told me at the age of 40, your vision started going.
Yeah, but I can see that there's like 25 seconds to go, and I can see that Duran is having some fun here, isn't he?
In typical Roberto Duran fashion, sneering at his opponent. The crowd loves it. They're seeing a legend, and you people out there are seeing a legend. Roberto Duran at the age of 49 showing that he can still fight. He still knows every trick in the book. The hands and stone may not be as strong as ever, but they are definitely a warrior. This is a guy born to fight, and he is just showing you right there that he fought.
And he loves the fight game. That's part of, again, when you judge fighters. Look at the face of Duran there. When you judge fighters, so much of it is an immeasurable quality called heart. We know he has all the skills, but he also had a heck of a lot of heart. And he showed, look at the crowd here. They absolutely love it.
The crowd is on its feet. A standing ovation for Roberto Duran, and we'll be back with the decision. Duran. It is a standing ovation for the two fighters, Roberto Duran, the legend, and we are going to go to Jeff Connor, our ringside announcer, for the final decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for these gentlemen who delighted us at the Yakima Legends Casino. The scorecard for the fight of the fifth reads as follows. Judge Scheibel scores it 98-94. Judge Ryan scores it 98-92. Judge Glover scores it 97-93. A unanimous decision for the man with the hands of stone.
Well, my partner Smitty, I looked at his card and he had it 98-92 in favor of the hands of stone, Roberto Duran. And now he has 104 wins in his record, 15 losses, 69 wins by way of knockout, a 10-round thriller won by the hands of stones, Roberto Duran. And the people here in Yakima, Washington, under a full moon, an absolutely picture-perfect climate, love it. Roberto Duran thrilled the crowd, as he did myself and my partner Smitty. A great performance by Roberto Duran.
Yeah, and because of this victory, he'll fight again because the man loves the fight, but this would be a nice way to go out, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, but I got a feeling there's more bells that Roberto Duran is going to hear. and he is going to go ahead and fight some more. And here we are in Yakima, Washington, at the Legends Casino, on the land that belongs to the Yakima Sovereign Nation. And they got to see a legend perform, a master at work, Roberto Duran, who carved out a 10-round decision.